Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio, welcoming you to another edition of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, peopleofdistinction.org, for more info, or you can email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And on the line with us today, we have Milton M. Beck. We'll be discussing his new book, The Case of Two Left Shoes, available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Just so you guys are aware, Milton was brought to People of Distinction today by some of the best movers in the business. Author, Reputation Press Publishing. If you have a book that you'd like moved, move it through Author Reputation Press. You can find them at authorreputationpress.com. And guys, listen, I am so excited to have Milton here on the line with us because, listen, all right, I know I said that we're going to be discussing the case of two left shoes today, and really, primarily, that's what we're going to be focusing on. But, guys, Milton has set off on quite the journey, and the journey is almost done in terms of this initial journey that he wanted to go through with. But the case of two left shoes is actually an 8-part series. That's right, you heard it correctly, 8 parts, okay? So there's a lot of different books, all of which are actually almost completed by this point, 5 of which have been completed and have been published. The last 3, 2 of which have already been completed, is just now waiting to be printed. And then the last one, Milton is right about to be finished with that one as well. So listen, you're definitely going to want to get out there, take this journey. It's a fictional narrative. It's a crime mystery. And we follow the protagonist through all 8 books as he goes up in ranks in the military that way, starting off just as an officer and moving on from there. And listen, Milton is going to be able to explain all of this much better than I ever could, and I'm so excited to have him here on the line to do so, okay? So without further ado, Milton, thank you so much for being a guest with us on People of Distinction. How are you today?
I'm doing fine, and I appreciate the opportunity to be with you.
Likewise. Well, listen, we're very excited. Now, before we go into the book, The Case of Two Left Shoes, let's hold off a bit because I really I personally, and also I want my listening audience to know a little bit more about you. So please give us a little bit more of your background.
Well, first of all, I became a veterinarian and was in practice for 9 years, and the doctors told me to change locations, change occupations, or be put in a pine box. While I was in veterinary practice, I encountered a situation leaving the home of one of my clients and saw a series of ski boots lined up on their porch. And looking at those boots gave me the idea that eventually became the case of two left shoes. I saw those about 1973, and it was about 40 years later before I had the chance or took the opportunity to write the story. And after leaving veterinary practice, I worked for the state of Utah doing research on the health effects of environmental pollution. I worked for the state of Delaware overseeing the investigation of Superfund sites. Then I worked for 10 years overseeing and carrying out the cleanup and of toxic waste sites on Dover Air Force Base. Then I retired and moved west, where I thoroughly enjoy living. And that's when I began writing, and it's been a joy to continue writing, even still. When I was doing this writing, it was almost as if I was hearing someone read the story, and I spent my time writing it down and transcribing what I heard. And as I go back and read my own book, sometimes, where did that come from?
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of it in these books that tell about things about myself, and it becomes very, very close, you might say. And sometimes it's difficult to read about things that have happened to me.
Thank you so much for that, Milton. You know what is incredible about about everything that you just said. I mean, it's such a profound journey that you've taken. And being an artist myself, I can definitely attest that, sometimes using personal experiences can be difficult, right? I mean, there's a lot there to grapple with in really holding up the mirror to ourselves that way. So first and foremost, I just want to commend you for being brave enough to take that journey and really showcase and use your experience. Question that I have for you, Milton, is when did you realize that you wanted to be a writer, right? I mean, you talked about how you spent 9 years being in veterinary services, and then you kind of switched off from there. But when did you first realize that you wanted to be a writer?
Well, I thought of doing that, and I tried every once in a while, but life and work got in the way, and so I never continued with it until after I had retired. And now I had the time, and I wanted to get written down the ideas that I had in my mind. And like I say, I started writing, and it was almost as if it was being dictated to me. And it's a rather unusual experience, to sit down and I'm going to write about this, and this is what I want to say. But when you're writing, and it is coming to you, just like a song from over the ocean, it's just kind of hard to describe.
Yeah, well, I mean, I hear you. And listen, what I describe it as is passion, right? I mean, listen, sometimes it comes right out of you because it is something that you're so passionate about, something that becomes so easy to you and something that you're so interested in. It almost just comes out of your pores that way, and you can't really stop it. So, that is beautiful to hear you say. Now, let's quickly go off on inspiration, Milton. Not only we know what inspired this particular book, The Case of Two Left Shoes, as you were talking about years ago after you left one of your clients' houses, you saw I think you said ski boots by the door, and that kind of initiated this inspiration to write this book. But as you were saying that you kind of dabbled in writing here and there, but never really got around to it until after retirement. What inspired you to really finally embark upon that journey? Was it authors that inspired you, people that inspired you? Why did you feel that this was definitely something that you just couldn't hold off on doing anymore and you needed to embark upon that journey?
Well, I like to put my ideas down on paper. It's somewhat like a book that I wrote a number of years prior regarding the origin of our solar system. I'd been told the theory of the origin of our solar system, and it didn't seem right to me, so I spent 18 years studying it off and on in my spare time, and I wanted to get it put down on paper. And when I got it put down on paper, I felt good about it. Writing down my idea concerning the two left shoes, I wanted to get it put down on paper, and it just went from one page to another, you might say, and one book to another. And through the first 7 books at least, it was hard to stop. And have I stopped now? I don't know. I think I am going to stop, but then something more will come, and I have to go back and get it written down. It just almost becomes, I wouldn't say an addiction, but it is just a driving force that you need to get your idea written down.
Absolutely.
Whether anyone else reads it or not, you want to get it written down.
Of course. Well, listen, Milton, you have set us up perfectly. Let's jump into the book, The Case of Two Left Shoes. Give us a brief synopsis of that, please.
Well, Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Jorgensen was on vacation in Colorado visiting friends of his that managed a ski lodge. And it's before the ski season starts, and he's visiting with them. But the body of a young woman is found in a canal a short distance away. And Dan is a stranger there, so to speak. The deputy sheriff sees him and, okay, here's a body and here's a stranger here. Is there a connection? So the deputy sheriff talks to Dan and asks who he is and what he's doing here. When he finds out about his experience as a criminal investigator, he asked Dan to help them retrieve the girl's body. Dan helps with the retrieval of that body, and the information that he derives from his participation in that event leads to repeated attacks on his life. And he is called back to Quantico, which is where the head of the criminal investigation element is. And he gets back to Quantico, and again an attack takes place that almost kills him, and it takes him 2 or 3 years to recover from it. But while he's in the hospital and recovering, the FBI is called in, and he tells them mafia. They said, where did that come from? He said, this is 2 attacks, 2,000 miles apart. It has to be an organization that's doing this. And this investigation goes on. The case is solved, and Dan was declared, by President Eisenhower, who was the president at the time, that Dan Jorgensen is a national treasure because he is so skilled at doing investigation and understanding and interpreting the information that he sees and finds.
Fantastic. Guys, again, here on the line with Milton M. Beck, discussing his book, The Case of Two Left Shoes, available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. You know, Milton, thank you so much for that synopsis. I mean, this is such a great story. And listen, guys, there's 8 of them, okay? So if you're captured by this one, buckle up because we just started the ride, okay? Now, leading off of that, Milton, we know what inspired this particular story. Now, the title, I mean, it's such an intriguing title, right? The Case of Two Left Shoes. Talk to me and talk to our listening audience about what inspired that particular title. Why is that symbolic, or what is the meaning behind The Case of Two Left Shoes, please?
When I saw the ski boots lined up in the porch of one of my veterinary clients, it was difficult to tell the right shoe from the left shoe, and it struck me, 2 left shoes. That immediately implies that there's been a murder, because when the body was found, had 2 left shoes. There has to be another body somewhere with 2 right shoes. Mm-hmm. And it just led from that to just a continued exploration about this series or this murder. And the whole thing is not solved because the second body is never found. Was never solved. But it just led from that to attacks on Dan Jorgensen, which continued through the rest of his life.
All right. Fantastic. Guys, listen. A murder mystery, a crime investigation novel that is just so profound. A fun journey that you're really going to love taking. And listen, let's call a spade a spade. We're all spending a lot of time at home right now, right? So what better time than to embark on a journey of this magnitude than right now? Amazon and Barnes & Noble have it. Get out there and pick up your copy of The Case of Two Left Shoes by Milton M. Beck. But as we stated, guys, that's not all right? That's just one of 8. The last 3, again, are still in the process of creation. 2 of them of which have been completed. They're just waiting to be published. And then the last one, Milton just finished. Now, Milton, listen, there's 8 of them. So, of course, we don't want to go into every one of the titles. But let's take it as an overall concept. If there's one message that you're really wanting to say with this series of books, what would you say that is?
Well, not only is Dan Jorgensen a criminal investigator, but he's a teacher. And he tries to teach people, his students, his other teachers, people in general, to look at things and do an investigation, find information, and be able to make a thought-out decision, not just to follow the bandwagon, but think about it and make an informed decision before they do anything. I worked as a volunteer in correction facilities, 14 years in a minimum security and 4 years in a maximum security. And so often the men were in prison because of 5 minutes of stupidity without thinking out what is necessary. Mm-hmm. Our entire nation is such that we need people that can think and make correct, informed decisions, not just jump on the bandwagon and follow someone that's waving a flag.
There you have it. Such a great message to end the interview with. Thank you so much, Milton. Now, listen, we have a little bit of time, so someone of your caliber that has written 8 books, I mean, listen, that is quite a feat. Technically, 8 books in this series, but you did mention you had another book that you had written years ago as well, so really, at least 9 under your belt in the repertoire of books that you've created. Now, I love having this platform of people of distinction to be able to help other artists out as well, okay? Now, Milton, do me a favor. If there was any advice that you can give a new writer, somebody just starting out on this journey. Now, your journey is still going, right? You've just completed this 8 in the series, and you may want more to come out afterwards, of course. So I'm sure you're still learning as you go, but talk to our listening audience. What is some advice that you can give a new writer, someone just starting out, on what they should expect?
First of all, if you start out writing, it's almost impossible to expect success right away. Mm-hmm. But if you make a start and it falls flat on its face and you leave it there, you're through. You have to pick yourself up and try again. The man's name just left my mind, but he was working on developing the incandescent light. He tried 1,000 times and failed. They asked him, "Aren't you discouraged?" And he says, "No, I know 1,000 things that didn't work."
Yeah, I believe was that Thomas Edison when he was creating the light bulb. Yep.
And this is the way it is in life. You fail if you fail to stand up after you fall down. You fall on your face a number of times, but you've got to get up and continue on in order to succeed. And we will learn more from our failures than from our successes. So when you try something and try to get it published or whatever, and it doesn't work out, figure out, what did I do wrong? You may find someone that can give you some advice, and don't be afraid to ask for advice and what do I do next. That is how we learn, and continue on. Whatever you do, follow your own idea and follow it through, even if it's just to put it on paper for your own benefit and pleasure, because then you've accomplished something. And if it is picked up by someone else and realize that's a good story, you're on your way.
Great words of wisdom there, Milton. Thank you so much for sharing. And listen, guys, what he's talking about it's all about perseverance, right? It's all about perception. No matter what, we're all going to face adversity in life. And we're going to face a lot of adversity, right? It's not just a one-time thing. It happens that way. But, just because you attempt something and it doesn't go your way doesn't mean that is a failure, right? It was just a learning lesson, and that's where the perception comes in. It's all about how you look at it, and it was a great quote that he utilized, again, by Thomas Edison, and in which when he was creating the light bulb, they were asking him, like, you've created this thing 1,000 times and it didn't work, and then on the 1,001st time it worked, and what his response was, no, I just found 1,000 ways that it doesn't work, right? And I think that is so beautiful, and there's such a great message there, really, to life, not only with regards to our art, again, just with life. Practice makes perfect. You just got to stay with it, and you got to keep pushing. Guys, one last time, here on the line with Milton M. Beck. We just finished discussing his book, The Case of Two Left Shoes, available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Again, that's an 8-part series. The first 5 are out now, so go and rush and grab your copy. You definitely will not be disappointed. And once you're through with that, get ready for the next 3, because they're going to be out very shortly as well. Milton, thank you so much for being a guest with us on People of Distinction. We truly appreciated having you on.
And I appreciate the opportunity.